The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has today applied for arrest warrants against Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, his Defence Minister, Yoav Gallant, and 3 top Hamas leaders, all on suspicion of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Amid more than 7 months of war in Gaza, the prosecutor said the warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant follow alleged crimes of starvation and willful killing. The charges against Hamas leaders include, he said, extermination and hostage-taking. Well, let's start by listening to a little from the prosecutor himself, Karim Khan.
On the basis of evidence collected and examined and analysed by my office, I have reasonable grounds to believe that 3 senior leaders of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Daif, and Ismail Haniyeh, bear criminal responsibility for the following international crimes committed on the territory of Israel and the State of Palestine from at least the 7th of October 2023. I can also confirm today that I have reasonable grounds to believe, on the basis of evidence collected and examined by my office, that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister of Defence Yoav Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the following international crimes committed on the territory of the State of Palestine from at least the 8th of October 2023.
Well, let's get some analysis then. I'm very pleased to welcome to the programme Brody. He's a veteran war crimes prosecutor himself. He joins us live on the programme from New York. Quite a moment this, isn't it? Just give us your initial reaction.
Well, this is really a watershed event, not just in the Middle East, but for the history of international justice. The International Criminal Court, in over 20 years of existence, has never indicted a Western official. In fact, no international tribunal since Nuremberg has done so. Up until now, the instruments of international justice have been almost exclusively used to address crimes by defeated adversaries, as in Nuremberg, powerless outcasts, African rebels, or opponents of the West, like Vladimir Putin and Slobodan Milosevic. So for the prosecutor of the ICC to request indictments of the top Israeli officials, this is an earth-shattering, really. I mean, many people thought this would never happen. The ICC prosecutor's office has had an examination into the situation in Palestine for even well before the current conflicts, regarding illegal settlements, regarding other crimes or alleged crimes of the past, and it was always thought that this was a red line. This was a political red line for Israel, for the United States, that no prosecutor would have the courage to do this. Now we see, after really escalating rhetoric by the prosecutor over the last many months, who've said, you guys better watch out. This is going to happen. You keep doing this, don't complain. And now we finally see that Israeli leaders, as well as Hamas leaders, are facing a legal reckoning for their actions.
Right. You say it took courage by the prosecutor to get this far. I just want to bring you a little reaction we're getting today from Israel's President Isaac Herzog. He says the announcements by the prosecutor are beyond outrageous. He then goes on to say it shows the extent to which the international judicial system is, he says, in danger of collapsing. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's the opposite, actually. I think the international system has been in danger of collapsing precisely because of double standards, where you have, everyone cheered when the ICC arrested or issued warrants against Vladimir Putin, and we have been watching, all of us, the onslaught in Gaza for the last 6 months. And people have been saying, where is the law? Where is the law in all of this? I mean, we have another court in The Hague, the International Court of Justice, which is considering and has said that basically Israel even has a case to answer for genocide. So this is not even, one looking on their TVs, people around the world watching what is going on would expect that the international judicial system would respond with this kind of action against Hamas for the cruel taking of hostages, for the attacks of October 7th against Israeli civilians, but also for Israel for the collective punishment of the people of Gaza. I think it's quite the opposite. This shows, for the first time, really, for many of us skeptics who have always complained about the double standards of the international justice system, that it can actually work, or we'll see what now. Of course, it's up to the 3 judges to decide whether or not, in both cases, in the case of Hamas and in the case of Israeli leaders, whether the evidence the evidence presented by the prosecutor supports these warrants. But I think this is justice working. And if the ICC approves these warrants, it makes Netanyahu a wanted man in the same category as Vladimir Putin or Omar al-Bashir of Sudan. This is the law as it should be working.
And just spell it out for us then. As you say, we need to wait for the judges here who haven't yet granted these arrest warrants. But if they do, for Gallant, for Netanyahu, and indeed for figures like Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas leader who's in Doha, it means what? Effectively, they can't travel very far at all?
Well, that's right. I mean, it makes their world all of a sudden much smaller. In the case of Vladimir Putin, we understand he's not going to be leaving Russia or go to friendly countries like he just is in China. And for Hamas leaders, they will, of course, some Hamas leaders may in fact be captured by Israel. And then, of course, Israel will have to worry if they determine whether they actually want to cooperate with the court. But for people like Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, remember that also that these crimes, I mean, I don't expect that we will see them in handcuffs anytime soon, but these crimes have no statute of limitations. As long as these cases are pending, they will not be able to travel to any of the 124 countries, which includes the entire European continent, without worrying about an arrest warrant. I mean, their world has gotten much, much smaller, or it will get if these warrants are approved.
Reid, Brody, so many more questions I'd like to ask you. Unfortunately, we're out of time, though. Thank you very much indeed for your analysis here on France 24.
You're quite welcome.